This video is going to cover some of the other types of sedimentary rocks that we will be looking at in lab. And we'll start with a couple of the evaporite rocks. So these are ones that form usually due to evaporation. And this is rock salt. Rock salt, it's not always as big and clear and perfect as this. In fact, usually it looks more like a lump of salt. And nowadays we have these very popular Himalayan rock salt lamps and various implements that you can buy. And they're kind of pink or orange in color. So the color can vary quite a bit. But basically it's just salt, and it forms when you have the evaporation of a lot of water and the concentration of all of the chemicals in it to the point where salt is going to crystallize. And it forms in places like the Great Salt Lake or the Dead Sea, places like that where there's water that's flowing in but not flowing out. Now another chemical sedimentary rock is rock gypsum. And this, again, is just gypsum. It's just made of gypsum crystals. And this happens also when seawater dries up, when an area of the sea gets cut off from the rest of the ocean and it can't really sustain itself, and so it dries up. And so this is a calcium sulfate, and it crystallizes when the water gets very, very concentrated. And so there are big, thick layers of this in places around the world, and it's very useful in that it is the main constituent in wallboard or sheetrock or gypsum board, as it's sometimes called. So nothing gets built without this rock gypsum. So rock gypsum. Now another one, and this one can often be found in Minnesota, right here. This is the rock that is Chert. Chert is actually a form of quartz. It's microcrystalline quartz, very, very fine grained, and it can be distinguished based on its fracture. So it has this very conchoidal fracture, and it comes in a lot of different colors. So this I would just call straight out Chert, but it can be dark in color, in which case you'd probably call it flint, or it can be red, in which case you might call it jasper. And so there's different varieties of Chert. And it's often found with limestones, kind of as little balls and chunks in the limestone. And eventually you get to know the appearance of it, and it just kind of looks cherty. So going along with that, here's one that's a very important one in Minnesota, and this is known as a banded ironstone, or banded iron formation, or BIF. And what you see here are alternating bands of a very iron-rich material, which is mostly hematite and magnetite, and then the reddish areas are areas where there's actually more chert in it, or more silica. And this type of material formed early in the history of the world and really doesn't form anymore. And there aren't too many places in the world that have deposits of banded iron formations still around, and Minnesota is one of those places. And this is the source of lots of the iron that's mined up on the Iron Range. One other Minnesota sedimentary rock that I want to mention is this one here, and that is pipestone. Pipestone is actually a form of clay stone or mudstone. It's probably slightly metamorphosed, and it gives the rock the perfect texture to carve into various implements, pipes being one of the main ones. And of course, Native Americans have been carving this for centuries, and it is found in southwestern Minnesota in Pipestone County, and it's quarried there and used to carve various figurines and things. It's very nice because it almost polishes itself as you shine it up there. It'll take on a very nice polish to it. So that's a particular one that is found here in Minnesota. It's also known as catlinite. So those are some of the other sedimentary rocks that are formed or found in Minnesota and even other places in the world. Thank you.